All right.
Yes.
So Robert is asking, I have a philosophy question. What's the difference between morality and the law? I've seen an argument that made that they don't equate to each other. For example, slavery was a law, but it's immoral.
Mhm.
And the next part, I already know that God's law defines morality. So I guess I'm referring to civil law or human law. Let's ask the lawyer in the group.
Yes. Like, go for it.
Yeah. Great question, Robert. And actually, I liked your second part there too.
Mhm.
So first, what is law versus morality? So morality is just what's right versus wrong. So is this did you do the right thing or did you do the wrong thing? Did you do something good? Did you do something bad? So there's a little bit of exercise of judgment there, and then the question becomes, by what standard then have you judged that morality? A law is like in human terms, a law is something that a person with authority has issued a declaration that you must do this or you can't do that, and if you violate that provision, you're in trouble or there's consequences. So usually we think of criminal laws that if you steal from someone, you are guilty and you must go to prison for X number of years or something like that. So that's a law. Now, laws are take a lot of effort to enforce, right? If you got to put someone through trial, then you got to put them into prison or do all these things. It's a lot of work. There's this level of enforcement that has to go along with it. And so the law doesn't seek to abolish every single thing that's immoral. It just it cannot. There's no way the court system could handle it. And do you want a little kid who lied to that kid's parents to go to prison? How about us? How many times do we tell white lies or things like that, or do something that might be wrong or immoral? We don't want the law to get involved with every single little aspect of our lives, at least not the human law. So there is a big difference between the scope of human law and then what's moral. Now, if you think in terms of Venn diagram, it's not like morality is just a small piece of or the law is just a small piece of morality. I think, as Robert recognized, sometimes even laws themselves might be immoral. And I feel like more and more these days we are seeing laws that are immoral. We have so many laws and top of more laws that and it, yeah, and often they'll try and the Democrats want to require Republicans to do something against their conscience, and then Republicans want to pass a law to force Democrats to do something against their conscience. And so we're just getting more and more laws trying to enforce one particular group's sense of morality, and in doing so we're going to have obviously a lot of laws, I think, that actually don't even line up with true morality. uh, and then Robert says, so I already know that God's law defines morality. And I have to say, I generally do agree with that. And, what is the ultimate standard by which we determine what's moral or not? I do believe it goes back to God's law. And as we talk about here, ultimately, God's law boils down to one simple concept, that we should love others. And if we're doing anything that's not out of love, but rather out of our own selfish ambitions, then we are doing something that's probably immoral. And again, there's always exceptions, right? General rule, and then there might be exceptions, right? But that's the general rule, right? Is if you're doing something to exalt yourself, to elevate yourself, to benefit yourself, and especially if it's going to be at the expense or cost of others, then we're going to see something that is probably verging on immoral and actually would be counter to God's law too. And so when we talk about God's law, it's not just the 10 Commandments. It goes way beyond the 10 Commandments. So these people who already have a problem with 10 Commandments, they're going to have a problem with God's law that goes deeper and further. And this is what Jesus was trying to show in the New Testament. It's not just about don't commit adultery. It's don't look lustfully at other women. It's not just don't commit murder. It's don't hate someone in your heart. And that gets closer to the essence of God's law. God's law is to bring us to this divine divine moral state, to have the same morality God does. And it's in that state that life is truly preserved and life is happy and whole.